At Unrivaled this past February, I sat across from Cathy and asked how she planned to address the officiating issues in our league. Her response was, well, only the losers complain about the refs.
The crowd at Phoenix's arena was booing. Not the referees, not the opposing team, but the woman standing at center court holding the championship trophy. When Cathy Engelbert stepped forward to present the WNBA Finals trophy to the Las Vegas Aces in October 2025, the boos were so loud you could barely hear her speak. For a league commissioner, that moment should have been a celebration. Instead, it became a symbol of something much bigger going wrong inside women's professional basketball. By the time those boos rained down, one of the league's biggest stars had already called Engelbert's leadership the worst in the world. Other players were publicly backing that claim. Team owners were quietly telling reporters they'd vote for a replacement if they could. And with the league's labor contract set to expire at the end of October, the WNBA was heading toward what some feared could be its first work stoppage in history. The question everyone was asking was simple: how did we get here?
Well, let me clarify first, because it's proxy season, right? No CEO do you just put the base pay in there. You put their bonus, you put their stock options, you put everything. Caitlin has the ability to make up to $500,000 just in WNBA wages this year. So, of course, they're just looking at a base which is collectively bargained.
To understand what's happening now, you need to know a bit about Cathy Engelbert and where the WNBA was when she took over. Engelbert became the league's first official commissioner in July 2019. Before that, she'd spent 33 years at Deloitte, one of the world's biggest accounting firms, and made history as the first woman to run a Big Four accounting firm when she became CEO in 2015. She knew business, she knew corporate partnerships, and she knew how to negotiate deals. When Engelbert took the job, the WNBA needed exactly that kind of leadership. The league had been struggling financially for years. Most teams were losing money. Media coverage was sparse. Average attendance had been flat for a decade. The league needed someone who could bring in revenue, secure better television deals, and make the business side work. By many measures, Engelbert did exactly that. Under her watch, the league added teams in San Francisco, Portland, and Toronto. She secured a new media rights deal that will more than triple the league's television revenue starting next season, jumping from $60 million annually to at least $200 million per year.
To officially announce that the WNBA is expanding from our currently announced 15 teams to 18 teams over the next few years. So on behalf of the entire WNBA, I'm thrilled to welcome Cleveland and Detroit back.
The league has announced plans for 3 more expansion teams in Cleveland, Detroit, and Philadelphia. On paper, it looks like a success story. But success in business doesn't always translate to success with the people who actually play the game. And that's where this story really begins. The trouble started brewing long before anyone heard boos in Phoenix. Throughout the 2025 season, players and coaches had been voicing frustrations about officiating. Games were getting more physical. Injuries were piling up on controversial plays where referees didn't blow the whistle. Players felt like the league office wasn't listening to their concerns about player safety. Then came September 26th. In Game 3 of the semifinals between the Minnesota Lynx and Phoenix Mercury, Lynx star Napheesa Collier went down with an ankle injury after what looked like hard contact with Phoenix's Alyssa Thomas. No foul was called.
If money wasn't an option, what could we get? And honestly, we got almost everything, because we really try to make the experience as good as possible for the athlete. We want to make it worth their while. We try to be really upfront from the beginning too. If there's anything you guys want, let us know. Any suggestions, we really took those to heart. We try to.
Lynx head coach Cheryl Reeve erupted at the officials and was ejected from the game. After the game, Reeve didn't hold back. She delivered a scathing speech criticizing the league's officiating standards and was subsequently fined and suspended for 1 game. Collier missed Game 4, and Minnesota was eliminated from the playoffs. 4 days later, on September 30th, Collier sat down for her end-of-season press conference. What followed was unlike anything anyone in the WNBA had seen before. Collier, who serves as a vice president of the Players Union, delivered a prepared 4-minute statement that went directly after Commissioner Engelbert by name. According to Collier, she'd met with Engelbert back in February to discuss several issues facing the league.
I also asked how she planned to fix the fact that players like Caitlin, Angel, and Paige, who are clearly driving massive revenue for the league, are making so little for their first 4 years. Her response was, Caitlin should be grateful she makes $16 million off the court, because without the platform that the WNBA gives her, she wouldn't make anything.
When Collier brought up the officiating problems, she says Engelbert told her that only the losers complain about the refs. Then Collier asked about the pay disparity for young stars like Caitlin Clark, Angel Reese, and Paige Buick-Akers, who were driving massive revenue for the league but making relatively little money under the rookie salary structure. Clark, for instance, earned just over $78,000 from the league in 2024, even though she was bringing millions of new fans and enormous media attention. Collier claimed that Engelbert's response was that Caitlin should be grateful. According to Collier, the commissioner said Clark was making $16 million in off-court endorsements because of the platform the WNBA gave her, and that without the league, Clark wouldn't make anything. Then, Collier said, Engelbert added that players should be on their knees thanking their lucky stars for the media rights deal that she got them. Collier didn't stop there. She criticized Engelbert for failing to reach out personally after her injury or after any of the other major injuries that had happened to stars throughout the season.
I am on the union for our CBA negotiations, or collective bargaining negotiations for our league. And so for so long, I felt like I saw what was going on behind closed doors. For so long, we tried to have these conversations and move the needle in those meetings that we would have with the league, within our leadership.
She contrasted that with her experience running Unrivaled, a 3-on-3 basketball league she co-founded, where she and her business partner make it a point to personally check on injured players. She said basic human decency and integrity were the bare minimum any leader should show, and that the league's leadership was failing at that standard. The final line was the one that made headlines everywhere. Collier said the WNBA had the best players in the world and the best fans in the world, but right now, it had the worst leadership in the world. The response was immediate. Within hours, players across the league were voicing their support for Collier on social media. Las Vegas Aces star A'ja Wilson, who just won her third MVP award, backed Collier's comments. Caitlin Clark said at her own exit interview that she had great respect for Collier and thought she made very valid points.
More for this than you do if you're the champion. Makes no sense. Someone tell Cathy to help us out.
Indiana Fever guard Sophie Cunningham went even further, commenting on Instagram that Engelbert was the most delusional leader the league had seen and that people only knew who Cathy was because of Caitlin Clark. WNBA legend Elena Del Donne chimed in supporting Collier. The Players' Union released a statement saying that when Collier speaks, people listen, and that her words reflected the feelings of many, if not most or all of their members. Engelbert responded with a written statement that afternoon saying she was disheartened by how Collier characterized their conversations to and league leadership, but that her commitment to the players wouldn't waver. But that statement only bought her 3 days. On October 3rd, before Game 1 of the Finals in Las Vegas, Engelbert held a press conference where she addressed the controversy directly. She acknowledged that if players didn't feel appreciated and valued by the league, then the league had to do better, and she personally had to do better. But when it came to the specific comments Collier attributed to her, Engelbert pushed back. She flatly denied saying that Caitlin Clark should be grateful, calling Clark a transformational player who'd been a great representative of the game. When asked about the players should be on their knees comment, Engelbert said there was a lot of inaccuracy out there and suggested the reporting and social media had distorted what was actually said in private conversations. That response made things worse, not better. ESPN later reported that Collier had planned to meet with Engelbert the following week to try to work things out, but after Engelbert called her comments inaccurate, Collier canceled that meeting. According to sources who spoke to ESPN, Engelbert's denials had pretty much pushed the relationship beyond repair. All of this was happening against the backdrop of collective bargaining agreement negotiations that were going nowhere fast. The current CBA was set to expire on October 31st. The Players' Union had opted out of the previous agreement a year early specifically to push for better compensation. With the new television money coming in and franchise valuations skyrocketing, players wanted a significant increase in salaries and a true revenue-sharing model that would let them benefit as the league grew.
Did you in fact say that Caitlin Clark should be grateful she makes $16 million off the court because without the platform that the WNBA gives her, she wouldn't make anything? And do you actually feel that way, that without this platform, players like Caitlin Clark wouldn't be making what they do off the court?
Yeah, obviously I did not make those comments. Caitlin has been a transformational player in this league.
At the All-Star Game in July, more than 40 players showed up for a union meeting in Indianapolis, the largest turnout in the union's 26-year history. Young stars like Caitlin Clark, Paige Buick-Akers, and Angel Reese were there alongside veterans. After that meeting, players walked out visibly frustrated. The league and union remained far apart on the biggest issues, particularly on how to structure revenue sharing, and whether players would get a percentage that could grow over time rather than being locked into a fixed number. The league eventually extended the CBA deadline to November 30th to give both sides more time, but as of mid-November, there still wasn't a deal. The WNBA has never had a work stoppage in its history, but players were openly talking about the possibility of a lockout if negotiations failed. Seattle Storm star Gabby Williams told reporters the league seemed intent on pushing away competing leagues like Unrivaled, which was offering average salaries above $220,000, near the WNBA's maximum base salary. Williams pointed out that it would make sense for the league to push exclusivity if they were paying more, but they weren't. Behind closed doors, the situation was even more tense. ESPN surveyed team owners, executives, and industry insiders in October and found that it wasn't just players who'd lost confidence in Engelbert. One owner said bluntly that if they had a vote, they'd probably ask for a replacement. Another team executive said that once you have that kind of fighting with your best players, it becomes a death spiral. Multiple sources said that change was a must, either in how Engelbert relates to players or in the role itself.
And actually it's low, because she's the #1 pick, she'll make a little more than that. But she also has millions and millions of dollars of endorsements. She's actually, because she declared to become pro, her endorsements are higher in dollar value. She has a global platform now, not just a US platform, so.
The league tried to maintain a positive public face. In July, despite the CBA tensions, Engelbert announced 3 new expansion teams. She said the league needed scale to attract more corporate partners and retail opportunities, and that CBA negotiations wouldn't be allowed to slow down the league's transformation. But privately, sources told reporters that NBA Commissioner Adam Silver, who oversees the WNBA as part of the league's relationship with the NBA, was personally troubled by how personal the conflict had become. One insider told ESPN that Silver was broken up by the situation, and that while he recognized Engelbert had done tremendous work on the commercial side, her time would eventually end. So what does all this mean for the future of the WNBA? The league is in a genuinely pivotal moment. On one side, you have unprecedented growth. Attendance is up, television ratings are breaking records, franchise values are soaring into the hundreds of millions, corporate sponsors are lining up. On the other side, you have a complete breakdown of trust between the league's leadership and the players who are driving all that growth. The CBA negotiations will likely determine Engelbert's fate. If she can help broker a deal that players view as fair and transformational, she might be able to repair some of the damage. But if negotiations drag on, or if players feel like they're not getting what they deserve after bringing so much value to the league, it's hard to see how Engelbert survives much longer as commissioner. ESPN analyst Elle Duncan said in mid-November that she expects a change is coming, but probably not until after the CBA is resolved, because it would be ridiculous to replace your lead negotiator in the middle of critical talks. The larger question is whether the WNBA can maintain its momentum if the labor situation isn't resolved. A work stoppage would be devastating for a league that's finally breaking through to mainstream attention. The 2025 season drew enormous interest, with playoff games regularly pulling over 1 million viewers. Losing that momentum to a lockout could set the league back years. Players know that, but they also know this might be their best leverage to secure long-term financial security that reflects their true market value. The WNBA is learning what other professional sports leagues learned decades ago. You can't build lasting success if the people playing the game don't trust the people running it. Cathy Engelbert might have been exactly what the league needed to grow the business side, but growing a business and leading people are 2 different skills. Whether she can learn to bridge that gap, or whether the league will need new leadership to take it into this next chapter, remains to be seen. What do you think? Can Engelbert rebuild trust with the players, or is it time for the WNBA to find a new commissioner? Drop your thoughts in the comments below, and if you want to stay updated on how this situation unfolds, make sure to subscribe. The CBA deadline is November 30th, so we should know a lot more very soon. Thanks for watching.